I've worked in finance for over a decade, and I'm going to share the 10 wealth killers that no one is talking about. Most people think the biggest wealth killers are credit cards, overpriced avocado on toast, and their daily coffee fix. But honestly, those things are just distractions. The real wealth killers are the ones that quietly drain your future, and they aren't even on most people's radar. So let's get into it, starting with number 1. This could potentially be the most important one, but is so often overlooked. People assume that anything to do with investing or pension related is something that they can just kick into the long grass. But don't make that mistake, because it's not an exaggeration to say it could be costing you hundreds of thousands. And this is supported by hard evidence, like this report from Pension Profiles, which found that people pay triple the investing fees than they should. Triple, saying with the average person working 11 jobs in a lifetime, keeping track of multiple pension pots can get quite confusing. Unhelpfully, pension providers often charge in different ways, which can make it hard to know exactly what you're paying for and where your money is going. And here's the thing, when we're talking about what could be your biggest or your second biggest asset, and the investing time horizon is in decades, these small changes in fees can quickly turn into serious money. But let's go through an example to really kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. Let's take two funds. One has a 1% investing fee, the other has a 2% investing fee. For argument's sake, say you invest £100 a month from the age of 18 all the way up to 65, and let's say you have an average annual return of 10%. The difference in value of these two funds would be £221,631. The fund with a 1% fee would be worth £788,402, and the fund with a 2% fee would be worth £566,771. And here's the thing. The same compounding force of nature that allows your investments to grow over time and build your wealth is also going to be the same thing that will erode the value of your investments over time. This is number 2 on our wealth killer list, and there's no two ways about it. The number one way that most people will build wealth over their lifetime will be through their salary. And a crucial component is not negotiating on your salary, and this is so often overlooked. There was this study just here that came out in 2014 from Forbes, which found that people who move jobs every 2 years will, over the course of their working life, earn twice as much as people who stay in the same company for an extended period of time. And here's the thing. Every time you move from one job to the next, you take your experience, your skills, and your knowledge to somewhere that might not have any of those. And the data shows it's when you make these switches from one company to the next that's when you get the biggest increases in salary. But the real icing on the cake is, what do you do when you move from one job to the next? Negotiate on salary. Between these two things, you can really compound your salary growth over your entire career. A recent study found that only 44% of US employees surveyed said they negotiated their salary when moving jobs. But then let's look at the people on the other side of that negotiation. A survey from Robert Half found that 70% of managers expect job candidates to negotiate. Your future employer is likely no stranger to negotiation, and they might even be expecting you to negotiate. And there's even more evidence. According to a study from Fidelity, negotiating works. While the research found less than half of Americans negotiated their current salary, among those who counted on salary, benefits, or other compensation, 85% got at least some or all of what they asked for. You know what can kill your wealth faster than just about anything on God's green earth? Life. Now, I don't want to get all woo-woo, drippy-hippie on you, but bad things happen in life. And without having the proper insurance, that can basically just wipe you out financially or potentially leave your loved ones with a massive bill to pay. Luckily, you can hedge against that with getting proper insurance. Proper insurance coverage can safeguard your finances from unexpected events that could otherwise lead you to financial ruin, a real wealth killer event. And don't get me wrong, I get it. In the realm of financial planning, insurance doesn't often grab the headlines like saving and investing and stocks. But the truth is that when unexpected events threaten to derail even the most meticulously laid money plans, the importance of understanding your insurance is just frankly completely undeniable. And I would also argue that this becomes even more important when you have people who financially rely on you either now or in the future. Next wealth killer is not automating your finances. Now, this is another very important one. Let's say you've started investing, you've opened up your investment account, you've started making deposits, but you only make deposits when you remember, when you have cash left over at the end of the month. Sound familiar? Well, would you be surprised if I told you that a study from Ohio State University found that only 9% of Americans who make a New Year's resolution successfully achieve them? Notably, 23% abandon their resolutions by the end of the first week and 43% by the end of January. So what does this mean for your money? It basically just means that relying on your financial willpower to achieve your money goals is a high-risk strategy. The key thing here is to not just rely on your memory or your financial willpower. You can level this up by automating your saving and investing. Set it up so that the day you get paid, you have an automated deposit drop money into your savings account and your investing account. So you don't even see the money. It never even enters your bank account to be able to spend it. And there's empirical evidence on this one too. A study by Vanguard found that automatic contributions are one of the biggest factors when it comes to growing wealth over time. By not taking advantage of your employer matching, you're leaving free money on the table. But the truth is there's more to it than that, because you're also leaving tax-free money on the table. There are so few things in life that will give you a guaranteed double your money odds. And so you should really take advantage of it. But take a look at this data here. This was from some analysis that was done in 2022. So the report is a couple of years out of date, but I still think it's worth looking at. And when I was reviewing it, a couple of things really stood out to me. The first one is less than half, 43.9% to be precise, of people take up all of the match that they are eligible for through their employer. But the even more insane number is that 14% of people in the UK take up none of their pension matching, even though they're eligible for it. I'll put the link for the report in the description, but we should really be under no illusions that by not taking advantage of free money, that is a real wealth killer. There's opportunity cost that's being incurred there. But before we go on to the next one, if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. We've got new content coming out all the time, and with the rocky ride that the economy is on at the moment, making sure you know what's happening has never been more important. Back to our list of top 10 wealth killers. Time in the market will beat timing the market. And frankly, this is sound advice, but at this stage, there's also just plenty of empirical evidence to back this up. One of the biggest advantages is that by maximizing your time in the market, you're going to capture the gains of the market. If you take hypothetical growth of $1,000 invested in the S&P 500 in 1970, your total return would be $138,000. But if you miss the best performing day, you get down to $124,000. Miss the best 5 days and you're down at 90 grand. Miss the best 15 days and you're down to 52 grand. And miss the best 25 days and you're down to 32 grand. Now, the market doesn't make gains evenly from one year to the next, and it certainly doesn't make gains evenly from one day to the next. So when you try and time the market, you run the risk of missing out on those when the gains are really outweighed. But maximizing your time in the market just means that you can be there for the upswings, but it also means you can be there for the recovery. Take a look at this analysis here from Fidelity. If you invest for just a year, then the range of outcomes you might get is potentially very wide, but the longer you stay invested, the narrower this range becomes, and the more likely it is that you'll make a positive annualized return. If someone invests in shares for a year, you could expect, based on historical averages, an annualized return which ranges from -40 to +60. However, if you invest for 5 years, your likely annualized returns narrow from -7 to +30. Stay invested for 20 years and the data shows that your annualized return would range from +5 to +18. So in other words, the longer you are invested, the more confident you can be that your returns will be positive. It doesn't feel hyperbolic to say that time can be the biggest wealth killer or the biggest wealth builder on earth. And that's the truth of it. It is critical that you start investing as early as you can. That way you benefit from the growth of compound interest, and so the earlier you start, the more of the heavy lifting that compound interest can do for you. Let's just walk through an example. Let's say we've got Fred and Frank. Fred takes my advice, starts investing at 20, but Frank likes to live the high life and so doesn't start investing until he's 30. If they both want to retire at 65, they both invest £100 a month and they both get an average annual return of 10%. The difference in their portfolio sizes is pretty hefty. By the time they get to 65, Fred has about £908,000. He's contributed 54 and his interest earned is about £854,000. Frank, on the other hand, has £342,000. He's contributed about 42 grand and his total interest earned is a little over £300,000. So that 10-year delay between 20 and 30 ended up costing Frank over £500,000. £566,000. But for me, the more interesting part is if you look at the numbers here, you can see in red you have the split between contributions and interest. And this is really what I'm talking about when I say that compound interest can do more of the heavy lifting for you. And people assume that investing is for the rich. And whilst it is something that the rich do, it's not exclusively for them. Because even investing small amounts can make a really massive difference over a long enough time horizon. Let's say you can't get to £100 per month. Let's say you can get to £25 per month. Over the same time period, and with investing conditions the same as Fred and Frank, you'll have nearly £250,000 if you started at 20. So don't fall into this trap of thinking you have to invest large quantities of money. If you're investing over the long term, even small amounts can make a big difference. Lifestyle inflation, or lifestyle creep as it's sometimes called, is when your spending increases with your income. And whilst it's natural to want to enjoy the fruits of your labour, this kind of unchecked lifestyle inflation can lead you to preventing from building long-term wealth. And the psychology behind this is really, really complex. Earning more often makes people feel entitled to more expensive things or experiences, and some people just feel the social pressure of keeping up with the Joneses. But here's the problem. If every time you get a raise or a bonus and that's immediately absorbed into your lifestyle, then you're missing out on opportunities to invest and grow your wealth, to put that money to work in other ways for you. The key thing really is a very simple hack, frankly, to combat lifestyle inflation. Make sure you maintain your lifestyle when your income increases, and instead redirect your additional income towards your saving and investing. Speaking of lifestyle inflation, we move on to our next wealth killer, the new car trap. Now, I'm sure we all know plenty of people who fall into this trap of getting a new car, thinking it will symbolize their success. But from a financial perspective, it can be a significant wealth killer. As soon as you drive a car off the forecourt, you will lose thousands, absolutely guaranteed. Most new cars will lose between 20 and 30% of their value in the first year alone, and between 40 and 60% in the first 3 years. According to Car Finance Saver, the average cost of a new car in the UK is about £35,000. So that means you are losing a little under £500 per month in depreciation, even if you pay cash. Never mind if you go down the route of financing your car, where the costs will be even higher. People always forget about depreciation because it's not a cash cost and it's not money coming out of their account, but it's still something you need to be considering. But that's just owning the car. In 2025, UK car owners are forecast to spend £3,350 a year to run their car. This might be potentially the most significant wealth killer, is a failure to invest, just flat out not investing at all. Whilst clearly saving money is very, very important and plays a critical role in your wealth building journey, keeping it in a savings account just won't help you build that longer term wealth. To grow your wealth significantly, you need to go and put your money to work, which is through investing. Over the long term, a diversified investment portfolio has the potential to outperform a savings account significantly. And just consider this. If you invest £500 a month for 30 years, assuming an annual average return of 7%, you'd end up with about £610,000. But if you took the same amount and put it into a savings account where you're getting 1%, that would only grow to about £210,000. So start your investing journey by educating yourself about different investment options. Low-cost index funds can be just a great starting point for beginners that offer broad market exposure with small fees and that diversified risk. If you want to level up your understanding, watch this video here about how to become an ISA millionaire, or this video here about how to pay less inheritance tax. You've been watching Modern Money Talk. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching.